Hi everyone, welcome to your final video of Unit 0. This is Lesson 0.5, Writing with Attention to Detail. Today we're going to talk about how to write a professional email and how to communicate professionally. And I'm going to be giving you some tips for writing emails that you're going to write down in your notes. So you'll need your packet and a pencil to get started. Because this is the final video of Unit 0, we're a couple weeks into the school year, and I just wanted to review our classroom expectations one more time so that we're all on the same page moving forward. The first classroom expectation is that you use your time efficiently. So that means that you're putting away distractions during class. This especially means making sure that you're not distracted by your phone so that you can just focus on your work in English class. The second expectation is to stay positive. So we're taking in a lot of new information, we're getting to know each other's names, we're learning a lot of new things, and I appreciate you keeping a positive attitude and an open mind about that. If you have a question, ask it. Make sure you ask your classmates. They're really awesome resources, and they might know the answer to your question, and then you can always ask me if you still have a question. If you cause a problem, fix it, and make sure to treat yourself and others with kindness. Okay, so today our main question is what makes an email professional? So you'll see some examples here of things that you might use in text messages. So when I'm texting my friends, that is a pretty casual and informal way to communicate, right? I might use emojis or abbreviations or slang, and those are all pretty informal ways to communicate. But today we're talking about communicating professionally. So what makes an email professional? We are going to talk about a couple tips that you can use in order to communicate professionally. Why is it important to write professional emails? So it's important in order to gain respect. Unfortunately, it's a reality that we live in a society where people are judged based on how they communicate, how they speak, how they write, and if you communicate professionally, you will gain respect and be able to advocate for yourself in order to change things and make a difference. So when you're communicating with people like teachers or your boss at your job, maybe on job applications or college applications, or even if you're communicating with community leaders or policymakers, it's really important to communicate professionally so you're taken seriously, given that respect, and you're able to advocate for yourself. So my tip number 1 for writing a professional email is consider your audience, right? So like I said, if your audience is your friends, that's a pretty informal and casual tone. But if your audience is your teachers at school or your boss or people that are going to let you into college or a job, your tone should be a little bit more professional. Tip number 2 is to include a specific subject line. So when you start an email, you'll put who it's to, that'll be my name, and then the subject is where you put what the email is about. So in your specific subject line, I want you to include your class period. Do you have English period 4, period 7, period 8? A specific topic, like what unit number are we in, what lesson number are you on? So for example, right now we're in Unit 0, this is Lesson 5. So that would be your subject line of your email. Tip number 3 is to include a professional greeting. So that can look like dear, and then the name of your teacher. You could say hello, good morning, good afternoon. These are all great ways to open up an email to your teacher. Tip number 4, avoid using all caps and a bunch of exclamation points because it looks like you're screaming. No one wants to help you out if you're shouting at them or yelling about it, So avoid using all caps and exclamation points in order to keep that formal, polite, respectful tone. Okay, where's our next tip here? Okay, tip number 5 is be clear, mention specifics, and ask specific questions. So if you say in your email, I don't get it, or I'm confused, or I need help, that isn't specific at all, and I won't know how to help you or how to respond. So an example of being specific is saying, I'm confused about Unit 0, Lesson 4. I don't know what a sensory detail is. How do I include one in my poem? So this helps me know exactly what lesson you're working on, and then you ask a very specific question, right? So tell me what you're struggling with, and then I can know how to help you. Tip number 6 is make sure you allow for response time. So teachers have a lot of responsibilities. We try and respond to your emails as quickly as we can, but we have other things going on in our lives as well. And so make sure you just allow for 24 hours or a full day before you send a follow-up email. If it's been over a day and you haven't gotten an email back, then it's okay to send another email and say, hey, just checking, did you see my email? I'm still confused and I need some help. So that is totally fine. Tip number 7 is make sure you proofread. So spell check and correct errors. If there are words that have little red squiggly lines under them, make sure you correct your spelling or correct your error. Proofread names and titles. So it's really common that people misspell names, and that is a great way to lose some respect or just have the person who's receiving the email feel a little bit annoyed. And then make sure you're using the correct title. Does your teacher go by Mr. or Miss or Mrs. or Doctor? And if you don't know, just go ahead and ask them. Finally, tip number 8 is to include a signature and an ending. So make sure you say thank you and then sign your name, or sincerely and then sign your name. See you tomorrow is fine, or from, and that is a way to end your email. All right, so in the rest of lesson 0.5, you're going to be correcting some different email scenarios, responding to them, and then you will eventually be writing your own email to me.